Joan Camilleri from EMDR, who she can guide us in prevention, intervention, and post-vention through the EMDR perspective and protocols. So I share the screen as well. Here it is.
Thank you, Chiara. Well, I would like to start by kind of echoing what Martin was saying about teacher trauma, teacher burnout, and teacher mental health well-being. In 2013, the World Health Organization recognized EMDR as one of the two psychotherapies, together with trauma-focused CBT, as the two psychotherapies which are particularly recommended for trauma and trauma-related conditions. In particular, EMDR was recommended because it has no homework between one session and another, unlike CBT. And also one of the other advantages is when comparing it to CBT that it does not actually expose the client to the trauma once more during the therapy. So just a little small introduction. Well, very quickly, I will be looking at EMDR Europe Association, something about us. What is the role of EMDR in prevention, intervention, post-vention in education? Because it can be used in many other things, but obviously today we're going to speak about education. And what are the trainings on offer and how to access our services all over Europe? So very quickly, EMDR was created by Francine Shapiro in 1993, and by 1999, a European-wide association was formed in London, and our joke is that it was formed in a pub. There were only about 5 or 6 European countries, and they met in a pub, and they created an association. So, EMDR endeavors to deliver the highest quality treatment for PTSD and trauma-related disorders, which I have already noted. It offers training to certified professional people, such as clinicians working in the mental health field. And we also offer continuous education, seminars and conferences leading towards public education through enlightened policies, targeting and promoting mental health. So it's not just for professionals, but anybody who wants to learn about EMDR can learn about EMDR. Obviously, then you have to be a professional to become an EMDR practitioner. But I believe that the theory and the perspective of EMDR is something that we can actually learn to our own benefit. At the moment, we have 41 countries all over Europe, including Israel, Turkey, and Azerbaijan. And we have another 3 very Eastern European countries who would like to join. They are with us as observers at the moment, and hopefully very soon they can become full members. These are Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Moldova. And so we have 41,700 members at the moment. So EMDR looks at mental health as being able to self-actualize, to be comfortable in relationships, and to contribute to life in the community and be productive at work. And in this, I think Chiara and I found ourselves very much in line when we were discussing EMDR and the definition of mental health of your expert group, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we would like to suggest EMDR not only for therapy, but also as a way of maintaining one's daily mental health and well-being by balancing the challenges and the stimuli with our brain's capacity of dealing with them. So very quickly, we know that we are stressed when we are faced with situations that we're finding very difficult to handle, or we're handling change all the time. So if we're able to find this balance, hence our burnout and our trauma, which we call small t trauma, will be much, much less. So as a person who leads services within a university, I always ask educators, what do you need of me? Or what do you need of us? Or the students, what do you need of us? And mainly their needs, at least from where I come from, is supporting students in the psychosocial, financial, and family issues, providing emergency interventions, for instance, panic attacks in a classroom, or a student says, you know, I'm fed up listening to his lecturer or teacher, and that teacher or lecturer doesn't know what to do with that, and handling requests outside of working hours. We find that educators especially would like to come for support and break, or before they start teaching or after they start teaching, because once they start teaching, they don't really like to disrupt, you know. So prevention, we look at it as psychoeducation supporting the development of third level resilience. I'd like to make a little note that third level resilience is our ability to learn from the bad things that happen to us. It is not resilience as in coping with life, but it is learning from life. And we learn from life from our negative experiences, our negative emotions. We learn from life from our positive emotions. But we also have neutral episodes in our life, which we soon take away from our memory, but which we could still learn from. So when we have negative emotions, these create within us suffering, and they have negative consequences because we try to avoid or to elaborate or to run away from those experiences which will give us negative emotions, rather than exploring them and learning from them, which is the third level resilience, no? Now, EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, has realized that when we are traumatized, our images, sounds, and feelings, we remember them as vividly as when they happened. And sometimes we can be doing something that triggers those memories in the here and now. And hence we react to what is happening in the here and now as when it happened originally, and not in the healthy way that we would had we reacted to it effectively in the here and now. On the other hand, when we have positive emotions in our memory, it boosts us, it supports us, it gives us the feeling that we can handle whatever is going to come our way. So we need to balance the negative emotions with the positive emotions, which is also in line with what is now up and coming positive psychology. A little picture that shows us, if you look at the healthy brain, you will see that in a healthy brain, the cortex, which is the red part at the front, okay, the red part at the top, and at the sides, the temporal lobes are very active. There is blood flowing, there is activity. But in an abused brain, in a traumatized brain, this activity is actually absent. And we have proof of this from a PET scan. So this is not like, it is actually photographed. What do we seek to, how do we seek to use psychoeducation related to EMDR with students? But first of all, we encourage the staff to keep boundaries at all times. If there is a traumatic experience, somebody says, I want to die, you know, to actually discuss with the student about this, inform the student that they may involve another professional for support, just as a psychologist, a counselor, or a psychotherapist who is EMDR, preferably EMDR trained. Ask the staff and students to lead them to the support system existing within that institution. But also, I think this has come up as well, for educators' self-care, that it is the educators themselves who then have and need to look for further support from themselves, which needs to be made available on a regular and easily accessible basis. How do we intervene? Well, very quickly, and here we go very quickly through the slides, Cara. The first phase is desensitization, and through what we call bilateral simulation, we literally decrease the pain associated with the memory and the rubber rubbing. Then once the emotion, the bad emotion, the negative emotion is gone, then we reprocess the memory from a clean slate, from a logical and rational manner, and we seek to learn from it, which is the third level resilience. We try to learn from our bad experiences and figure out how we are going to solve it better in the future, which leads us to the third part, which is what we call, so we ask ourselves, how will I be able to deal with similar issues in the future effectively rather than reactively based on past experiences? And last but not least, we do what is called the installation of the future template, which is when we actually prepare that person to handle that situation in the new learned way in the future. Post-vention is when very bad things happen, And so, for instance, the last intervention of the EMDR, Early Psychological Intervention Crisis and Disaster Committee, which is led by Andrea Apostol and one of the members, Isabel Fernandez, with whom I actually prepared this presentation, collaborated with EMDR Iceland during the repeated volcanic eruptions. In March 16th, they offered treatment to 10% of the population in Grindavik, which was about 400 persons. And they offered training to the psychology community in Iceland and a private official sector and all EMDR trained therapists. 70 therapists replied in 2 days. So if you wish to know more about us, here are the links. And if you want support from your EMDR National Association and any one of your European countries, you can write to us and we will give you the email address of the National Association where you can contact for support.
Thank you. Thank you, Joan.